Yeah, it would be kind of sad if Robert Downey Jr. came back and
This all failed.
it failed and it
His-
just did horribly, and
it's gonna
everybody hates it, and then
at that point
would
you've
really
tarnished the
suck. That would
legacy.
be really bad on his, that legacy of leaving.
Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today we are talking about the announcement of Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU that was announced at Comic-Con.
Ladies and gentlemen, as proof of the unimaginable possibilities in the Marvel multi-universe, we give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom.
New mask. Same task. What did I tell you? I like playing complicated characters. Like Robbie.
So this is just kind of bizarre to me. It's just a bizarre thing.
Mm-hmm.
It happened basically the same weekend. I believe it was the same weekend that Deadpool and Wolverine came out, or is the same week. And Deadpool and Wolverine is raking up at the box office. At the time of this recording, it's very close to $1 billion worldwide. It's a massive success. And it turns out that maybe the MCU is in a state of course correction. So they've had a few flops. They've had about 4 really significant flops that they are not pleased about. And Disney's probably really not pleased about. And they're a little scared. So what do you do when you've had big success early on? You're starting to falter. You go back to the well of success. And that means bringing Robert Downey Jr. back.
If we go back to his interview with Joe Rogan, it's kind of interesting where he's kind of like, I think that time has passed. I think I'm done. I think I'm moving on. And Joe's like, nah, but I think it'd be great if you came back. And Joe kind of called it. He's like, they're going to go a few years of lackluster films.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna try to get you to come back.
Is the door to Iron Man totally closed? Because I don't believe it is.
Oh.
You guys can go through time now. You can go. You already opened up that door.
Well, let me ask you the question. If I pick the jersey back up and put it on, wouldn't you feel a little bit like, oh,
no.
crap?
No.
Oh.
Here's what I think.
All right.
They go through a few semi-lackluster Avengers movies without you. You ready for this?
I'm ready to come back. Now they were talking about him coming back as his Iron Man.
Yeah, originated character. Yeah.
Tony Stark. So him coming back as a different character, Doctor Doom,
is weird. Weird.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of parody going on. Like he's going to come back as like every character because every character's stories have been consecutively since he died off in Endgame.
Geez.
So I saw one picture of him like as Black Panther, as as Scarlet Witch, as all of the characters. It was just funny. There's a lot going on around the internet about this because it's with Deadpool and the Wolverine, there's a ton of variants, like different universes. So because they've done the multiverse and they've introduced it and it's become like the storyline, what they're gonna do, their speculation is that he's Tony Stark gone bad and turned into Dr. Van Doom,
Hmm.
which I think
Okay.
has something to do with some of the comic books. They're not comic books that I know or I've ever read. I'm not familiar
Yeah.
with them. There's speculation about that, but it's at least a couple years away at this point, and I don't really know if it was a smart move. Now, it could be the biggest thing ever, right? But it feels a lot like it just feels like a desperate attempt.
Yeah.
It's like they know that they screwed up. And the thing is they had the potential to not screw up. It's not that necessarily, I think they're taking all the wrong lessons, right? So people are like, want Robert Downey Jr. back, but Robert Downey Jr. didn't want to come back as Tony Stark, so he's coming back as Doctor Doom, and it's kind of like get him back at any cost.
Right.
And I don't think it's just not smart.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, maybe they'll pull it off. Who knows? We might be eating our words. But you and I have been kind of complaining about how bad the movies have been for a while.
Mm-hmm.
TV shows, She-Hulk, anybody? She-Hulk, it's terrible. So the characters that people do like, it's only natural that they would want to go back to getting him back, and that he basically was like, probably like, I don't want to play Tony Stark again. And they're probably like, oh, well, how about this other character that we haven't introduced yet? So it really does smack of like a desperate attempt.
Desperation.
I mean, the Marvels is considered one of their biggest flops of all time, and that came out last year. So yeah, it's kind of a sad state for the MCU. And you and I, like, it's not like we weren't fans at one point. I thought the first couple of Avengers movies was fun.
I love
great.
how Endgame ended.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
If they just stopped right there, I probably would have been okay with it. But then again, we probably wouldn't have gotten, Deadpool and the Wolverine.
I loved how Infinity Wars ended because you realize the stakes are high.
Yes.
And it seems like no one wants to take the risk of having high stakes in films anymore, really.
Yeah. Well, if you introduce a multiverse, then you don't have to have stakes, right?
Dude, that is one thing about the multiverse, is just that anybody can be brought back to life.
Anything goes.
Like, they pulled it off, but it is one of those things where you're just like, now you can do anything. Whatever you want.
Whatever you want. What you want to bring back a character from 20 years prior? Sure, let's do that. The next release that they have coming up is going to be Captain America without Captain America.
Which I've got nothing against.
The
Falcon. I don't know the actor's name, but I've got nothing
Anthony
against
Mackie.
that.
He's a great actor. He's good in almost everything he's in.
He said that he took the role in Black or White. His character says to his brother, who's a deadbeat dad, you are a effing statistic.
Oh yes, I remember this. This was a while ago. This is like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. This show's been out for a while, so
I gotta watch that one.
And I think it's a great character study.
Meditation on race, probably. Race relations.
I mean, it does. I mean, it goes into some heavy stuff of just like race and race dynamics and things like that. But I think it's fair.
Yeah, he's a good actor, but he's not Captain America, and the movie's called Captain America, and I just think it's a mistake. It's just a mistake. It's already had like 5 or 6 reshoots at this point. They keep delaying the release. It's supposed to be the next thing that comes out that Marvel's going to do.
Harrison Ford looks good as a president, which, I mean, he's played a president before.
He's played a president before, yeah. So
so I'm there for it, but yeah, they're calling it Captain America, and we all know he's
Not.
It's a really weird, and I mean, I guess they could have just come up, and they're going to want him to, it's going to be his story of taking on the mantle of Captain America, which to my understanding, Falcon and the Winter Soldier are all, that's what it's about, is him kind of taking on the mantle of being Captain America. But still, it's just, it's going to struggle with that. It's going to struggle. It really is.
Yeah. And the fact that they've forked so much money into it, I don't think it's going to make back its money. And it, you know, and the reasons that people throw out that it's all like, oh, you're racist and all this kind of stuff. No, it's like, you guys are telling lesser stories. The stories aren't good. You know, you know, even there's this recent story about this, that Harrison Ford basically was pretty vocal about how crappy the movie was. So, I mean, he has to, by contract, promote the movie, but he's admitted a few times, is like, certain things you do that are silly for money. He's like, and I've done stuff like that before. Was he
talking about this film?
Yeah, he's talking about this.
No,
movie.
really. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Well, and it's a testament that they've pushed back the release so many times that you know, so this is basically, they knew that this was probably going to be a turkey. They knew that, so they knew that Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine was going to do excellent, but there's almost no more future with those characters. Like, they could probably do 3 or 4 more movies and still be fine. But ultimately, Deadpool and Wolverine is a love song or swan song or whatever you want to call it, like a goodbye to an older era of Marvel films. The X-Men Marvel films and that kind of stuff, the Fox films. And the point of that is that I don't know, they're looking to reboot all of these franchises. They don't want the same actors in it anymore. It's gotten too expensive. They want newer, younger actors. And, you know, fair enough, but they've shot themselves in the foot by not just doing hard reboots and instead doing continuations of older stories that are going to, like Winter Soldier and the Marvels and what was the Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're a bygone era essentially, and they're just like feeding off the corpse of a bygone era.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't. They just need a hard reboot. They need to go away for a few years, whatever they need to do. I think they're going to learn all the wrong lessons from the success of Deadpool and the Wolverine.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to think, there's more money to be made here. And they'll make a few more lackluster.
That'll be duds. Yeah.
And
Joe Rogan was right. He's like, Joe Rogan was like, they're going to bring you back in some form because the movies aren't going to be that great. And you're going to come back. And Robert Downey Jr. has had success away from Marvel. He just won an Academy Award for Oppenheimer. So it's like,
oh yeah, so good in Oppenheimer.
I mean,
yeah, he was good.
So he can kind of demand a lot. And according to reports, he did demand a lot. So supposedly the Russo brothers, who are the guys who directed Endgame and Infinity War, they brought them back, and those guys were paid $80 million, and then he got considerably more. And then the fact that he got more, and he got to kind of pick who he wanted to play, it says that they're just going, please save this.
Wow. Yeah, it would be kind of sad if Robert Downey Jr. came back and
this all failed.
And it failed. And just just did horribly. And everybody hates it. And then
at that point you've really tarnished the legacy.
That would be really bad on his, that legacy of leaving the
Harrison
MCU
Ford did it with Indiana Jones. He's tarnished the legacy.
They did with Star Wars, Han Solo.
Tarnished the legacy that you had already established and had ended in a good and beautiful way. And we need new stuff. That's what it comes down to. We need new stuff, Hollywood. Hollywood, please. Make something new.
The nostalgia porn is fun every once in a while, but
we need something new.
It would do us well to do some new stuff.
Yeah, it would. It really would. I mean, creativity's hard. It's a hard game, and it's hard to come up with new ideas, especially new ideas that will bring about success.
Yeah. And I think they don't like the studios just don't like the gamble.
No.
They like to make sure that there's money to be made.
There has to be
on something.
Yeah.
And
but without there's been successes without fan bases. John Wick. The original John Wick is 10 years old.
Yeah.
This year. So there's that.
Yeah.
They just need to take the risk.
Yeah.
I mean, it really comes down to them not taking risks.
And I think that the over bloated costs of making a film is making that harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, those risks get
risks.
The risks get that's probably what it really comes down to that. And I the years coming up are going to be interesting, because I think either they're going to reboot stuff that's only 10 or 15 years old at this point, or they're going to have to start coming up with original work again.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it if they try. I wouldn't doubt if they tried redoing Harry Potter or Twilight, or franchises that are over still have a rabid fan base that they are going to want to tap back into, because they did it with Lord of the Rings, right? To reportedly not great success. I mean, if I had to kind of put my finger on it, I'd say that maybe the Rings of Power on Amazon Prime probably maybe got one more year, but I can't imagine people came back to it for a second season.
That they just keep grabbing at these things that have been successful, and they keep, I mean, and I hope that Gladiator 2 does well, but I'm just like, really?
I don't have
Gladiator 2?
I don't have any. I'm not exactly sure if I have any. So
did we need to go there? Did we need to dig up all the good things of our past and make sure that we just blow it?
Yeah. Well, and the very first scene in Deadpool is him digging up the corpse of dead Logan. It's like, is there a metaphor in this? Yes, there is a metaphor in this. It is telling you that we are going to dig up the dead corpse of everything that you love and squeeze the money out of it until there is nothing left. We're gonna see this continue and continue and continue and continue.
Yeah.
If they're doing Gladiator 2, there's nothing is safe.
Yep.
Nothing.
Braveheart 2. It's coming.
Yeah, Braveheart 2. We're gonna milk every good thing.
Last of the Mohicans 2.
With
Fight Club 2.
Fight Club 2. It's gonna happen. All right. Audience, check us out on social media, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just look for The Sword in the Skull. If you are listening to this and not watching it, please go to YouTube and like, share, and subscribe. It helps us with our algorithms. Keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. Talk to you later, brother.
See ya.